Hi, my name is Sylvie. I am a certified health coach and fitness trainer, and I love helping women over 40 feel amazing in their bodies. And in today's video, we are going to talk about whether you need to moderate or to abstain when making the best food choices for your body. We're going to look at when it is preferable to abstain, when it's preferable to moderate. And we're also going to talk about the best way to implement these options into your lifestyle. So let's start with abstinence. What are the advantages of abstaining completely from the foods that don't serve you well? Well, there's two main advantages, and one of them is that it takes away a lot of the mental effort that you may have to put into moderation. You abstain completely, so you don't even have to think about it, wonder if it's the right moment, if you've had enough, or whatever it is. It's off the table, done deal. You don't question it. Another really great advantage is that it helps dismantle a lot of the emotional associations that you may have created with that food, and it helps rewire your brain. Basically, our bodies don't necessarily do very well with a little bit of pleasure, and if you have built an association where you get pleasure from a certain food, or if it feels good, having just a little bit is impossible. Like our brain, when it's pleasurable, you want more and more and more. And if you find yourself in that situation where when you start, you have a cookie and you need to eat the whole bag because you can't stop yourself, this may be a sign that you should abstain completely from that particular food that causes you to overindulge all the time. And as I mentioned also in last week's video, intermittent fasting is a very effective way to accomplish that. In fact, intermittent fasting is a form of abstinence, right? It's a temporary abstinence from food. And since you are restricting your eating window to just a few hours each day, you are rewiring your brain. Now, if you do decide to abstain from a certain food, I have some tips to help you do that. Number one, make sure you know why and what you're trying to accomplish through this exercise. Are you trying to rewire your brain, this mental and emotional association? Is it because you can't control yourself around that food? I always try to encourage my readers to really dig deep and know why they're doing what they're doing. It really helps you stick to your goals. Number two, pick a realistic time frame and then stick to that as much as possible. So for example, if you decide to go on a sugar detox, determine how long your sugar detox is going to be, say 3 weeks, and then stick to that. Tell yourself that you'll be reevaluating at the end of that period. It's not a permanent decision. It doesn't have to be, although it can be. But know why you're doing what you're doing, for how long, and then pay attention to your body's cues. Write down how you've been feeling, how you've been sleeping. Take before and after pictures. Taking notes on your progress can really be a powerful motivator to keep you abstaining from that food if you're noticing a huge difference in the way you're feeling, in the way you're looking. There's a pretty good chance that that'll be enough to keep you going even longer if needed. And if you fail, if you cheat and that wasn't planned, give yourself grace. You're doing your best. You're growing. Improving your lifestyle and your food choices is an exercise in self-discipline, in self-development. You fail one day, next day, start over, and you'll do better. Okay, so now let's talk about the case for moderation. I feel that moderation is probably the option that is appropriate most of the time for most people in most situations. There's a lot of things that are good in small amounts, but that we can overdo and can be harmful. For example, social media, shopping, spending money, Sugar, certainly, some people would probably argue that even a little bit of sugar is poison, but each person is very different, and what works at a certain time may not work at another time. What will work for a person might not work for another person, and that's why I think that learning to use moderation is a very important skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. Another thing is that when we abstain from foods, a lot of people will find that we build up this sense of deprivation, and that makes it even harder to cope, and that many people will tend to overindulge, like they'll build up that sense of deprivation, and then they'll eventually give into it and overindulge. So abstaining is not always the answer, although it is sometimes, right? Again, it's a matter of experimenting and seeing what works for you. And if you have a tendency to exhibit addictive behaviors, abstinence may be the best for you, but you also need to be careful, because people who exhibit addictive behaviors will often move that addiction to something else. For example, someone who decides to give up alcohol completely may unknowingly start wanting to get that dopamine high from other sources, like too much social media or too much shopping. So it is very, very important that if you decide to abstain from something, that you stay aware of that possibility and pay attention if you are displacing your addictive behavior onto other things. The main thing when it comes to moderation is to make your decisions in advance. When you are going to allow yourself to have the food in question, how much you're going to allow yourself to have, under what circumstances. So make these decisions in advance and then stick to it to the best of your ability. That is really the main thing that you need to do when you decide to moderate. As you make these decisions, it's a good practice to always keep an open mind and reevaluate your choices. Be curious about what's happening to your body and about what you're experiencing. Ask yourself questions. Your lifestyle and food choices are decisions that are meant to serve you, but it's not meant to be a box that you're confined to and that you can never outgrow. Your food choices are a tool that you are using to improve your health and stay healthy. I hope you found this video helpful and practical enough to make wise decisions about whether you should abstain or moderate when it comes to your food choices. And if you have any questions, just comment below. I'll be happy to help.